Welcome, everyone. Firstly, we ask that you keep yourself on mute unless asking a question at the end of the session. The slide that you can now see up on the screen, it says Accessibility First Approach for Online Resources by and for Women with Disability. Before we begin, we also would like to let you know that we're recording today's presentation. Welcome to Women with Disabilities Australia's session on our Accessibility First Approach to Website Development by and for Women with Disability. We hope you've been inspired by the work by and for women across the globe, this CSW68, and we thank you for joining us this afternoon, your time. We're sharing with you how we came to develop an accessibility first approach to website design. We will begin by introducing ourselves, our position on the project team, where we're presenting from, and we'll be providing our visual descriptions and pronouns. We'll also provide a visual description of each slide during the presentation. The current slide shows a photo of each of the 4 members of our team and our names and our titles. My name is Zoe Haustein and I use the pronouns she, her. I identify as a woman with disability. I am the project manager overseeing the original Our Site website, which celebrated its 4-year anniversary a couple of weeks ago on International Women's Day. I also lead this amazing team of women in the creation of a new website, which we'll be talking about later today. I have brown and grey shoulder-length curly hair and white skin with blue eyes and blue-rimmed glasses. I'm wearing a dark blue top today and I'm sitting at a desk with a blurred background. I pay my respects to the First Nations people of the land on which I am on today, the Muwinina people in southern Lutruwita, Tasmania, Australia. And I'm joined by my colleague, Sarah.
Morning or good afternoon. My name is Sarah Smallman. My pronouns are she, her, and I am Our Site's Senior Project Officer. I identify as a woman with a disability. I have long black hair and hazel eyes, and I'm wearing a green top and sitting at a desk with a blurred background. I'm coming to you today from the land of the Mamu people in far north Queensland, Australia. We are also joined today by our colleague Amy.
Hello, I'm Amy Brown, she, her, and I am neurodiverse. I'm the content communications producer for this project. I'm on the land of the Muwinina people in southern Lutruwita, Tasmania, Australia, and I have shoulder-length brown, blonde and grey hair, and I'm wearing a green top and green-framed glasses. My background is blurred. We are joined by my colleague, Justina.
Hello, I'm Justina Kitchard. I use the pronouns she, her, and I'm the project officer. I'm coming to you from the land of the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. I have shoulder-length brown and grey hair, and I am wearing a red top and brown-rimmed glasses. My background has been blurred.
This slide shows a map of Indigenous Australia. On behalf of Women with Disabilities Australia, I acknowledge that today we are presenting to you across the globe from the stolen lands of the First Nations people of Australia, people with a continued rich culture, and this land was never ceded. We express our gratitude to the First Nations people of Australia for their care of the land and their connection to sky, land, and waterways. We acknowledge and welcome all First Nations people joining us today. We also acknowledge the value of the unique personalities, strengths, interests, and abilities of every audience member joining us. Each of you add to our vibrant and diverse community, and we are stronger together. We acknowledge and thank the captioners and international language interpreters here today with us supporting this session. We also note that the language we are using throughout this presentation is an Australian English perspective. We understand that regardless of whether you are at the CSW68 in person or tuning in virtually, you have been listening, sharing, and processing a lot over the past week. We value your time and intend to make this session as engaging as possible. There will be moments where we will invite you to think quietly about some of the ideas and concepts we're sharing. And towards the end of the presentation, we hope there'll be time for questions. It's also our hope that you will gain valuable insights on accessibility in website design that's helpful for you and your work. And if you have any questions that we can't get to today, please email us. Amy is putting our email address in the chat. Just while Amy does that, I just wanted to remind those of you who are wanting to use the live captioning option for today's session. If you scroll back up through the chat, you'll see a message from either Jake or the AI media coordinators with a link to use the live captioning. And I'll just give everyone a moment to either go back and grab that link and set that up, and also to take down our email address if you want to contact us. Feel free also to put in the chat where you're dialing in from today. It might be at the CSW event, so you could just put New York or CSW. And we'd love to know if anyone is dialing in from Australia to today or anywhere across the world. We love to learn and share ideas, and for this presentation, Sarah, Amy, Justina, and I will be sharing our work with you through a series of slides that will present for around 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And then, as I said, I hope that we have some time for questions at the end. We'll share a little bit about our website called Our Site and its evolution over the last 4 years. We will also share a little bit about our new website being launched in May this year. We'll be sharing some tips and posing questions you might ask yourself and or your organisation when thinking about accessible resource creation. We're always listening, but right now we'd like to present to you.
This slide shows the Women with Disability Australia logo and a list of the main points that I will cover about our work. Women with Disabilities Australia, our acronym is pronounced WWDA, was established in 1985. We are an award-winning Australian Disabled Persons Organisation, or DPO, and National Women's Alliance for women, girls, feminine identifying, and non-binary people with disabilities in Australia. Feminine identifying is a term that refers to a gender identity or expression that describes someone with a gender that is or leans towards feminine. Some feminine identifying people also identify as women, while many others don't. Non-binary is an umbrella term for someone who does not identify as exclusively man or woman, identities that are outside of the gender binary. Someone who is non-binary might feel like a mix of genders or like they have no gender at all. We use the term women and girls with disabilities on the understanding that this is inclusive of women, girls, feminine identifying and non-binary people with disabilities in Australia. WWDA represents more than 2 million individuals in Australia. We have affiliate organisations and networks in most states and territories of Australia, and we are internationally recognised. All of our work is grounded in a human rights-based framework that links gender and disability to civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights. To promote the rights of women and girls with disability, we take part in a range of systemic advocacy activities. Our work seeks to support and empower individuals, while also creating greater awareness among government and other relevant institutions about their obligations to do so. WWDA has its own website, and Amy will be putting that link in the chat now, that supports the work that we do. Our website is www.WWDA.org.au.
WWDA also produced and continues to operate and maintain the Our Site website, a website created because women living with disabilities in Australia asked for it. This slide shows a screenshot of the Our Site homepage. Amy is putting the website link in the chat now: www.oursite.wwda.org.au. WWDA launched Our Site on International Women's Day, 8th of March 2020. Our Site focuses on 5 key areas: rights, leadership, life choices, sexual health and safety from violence. The website houses information and resources to support women and girls with disability to learn about and stand up for their rights. Our Site is an Australian-wide project led by Women with Disabilities Australia. It is a website created in co-design by and for women and girls with disability. The website is grounded in the diverse experiences of women and girls with disability. WWDA's co-design approach saw over 100 women with disabilities collaborate across all stages of the project. We consider co-design to be an essential step in building accessible resources. It is by inviting community members to participate in the design process that we really come to understand the diverse accessibility needs of our community. This slide shows some messages from the original Our Site co-designers. Women and girls with a disability joined hearts and minds to create Our Site with their own personal experiences, stories, and expertise. People with disability own Our Site, and no one can take this from us. Our Site can be our voice.
We've worked hard to update and improve the Our Site website based on feedback and suggestions gathered from our in-person and online co-design workshops delivered throughout 2023, and from our national survey, originally in English and then translated into 6 languages. They were Arabic, Cantonese, Mandarin, Vietnamese, and Turkish, as well as the Australian First Nations language of Northern Territory Creole. We've got the slide up is our stories slide. We reviewed the entire website and made hundreds of updates and improvements, including improving the provision of accessible resources and connection to service providers. Alongside the range of resources, our site also houses stories contributed by women with disabilities. Last year, we redesigned the Our Stories section. That's what the slide is showing. And I'm popping a link in the chat now if you're interested in taking a look at that. Over the past 4 years, we have shared nearly 100 stories in a range of mediums, including poems, written stories, audio, interviews, short documentary style clips, and art forms. They fall into the categories Your Rights, Lead and Take Part, Life Choices, Sex and Your Body, and Safety and Violence. If you are a woman, girl, feminine identifying, or non-binary person with a disability in Australia, you can pitch a story for publication using the link that I'm just about to share, because I can't do all the things at once. We offered this as a paid opportunity, and this is how we connect with our community.
As well as updating and making improvements to our site, we have also been building a new website. This slide shows the Our Site logo and also the temporary new website logo. In early 2022, Women with Disabilities Australia secured funding from the National Australian Government Department of Social Services to expand our site with a specific focus on addressing violence against women with disabilities. The site team got straight back to the collaboration table for a new round of co-designing, because we know that co-design is a real key step in the pathway to designing accessible websites. Feedback gathered from initial co-design workshops really clearly indicated that a desire within our community for a new site rather than simply an expansion of the existing Our Site. So starting afresh provided us with the opportunity to assess all processes and approaches used in developing our site. We were particularly interested in enhancing the accessibility of this new web-based resource. And our aim is to provide relevant and accessible information for both women with disabilities, their families, and also supporting professionals on the topics of well-being, rights, healthy relationships, and the prevention of violence and abuse.
This slide shows a collection of photos from our co-design workshops and website user testing sessions. The journey so far has been about listening, learning, and sharing with women with disabilities. This project began with a project steering committee of 9 women from across the country with a range of disabilities and lived experience. And we are fortunate enough that they meet with us on a regular basis to discuss the project. We have dedicated time to exploring co-design opportunities for women with disabilities, as well as their families, friends, and the professionals who support them in the disability and domestic and family violence support sectors. We implemented an expert co-production panel, which means, excuse me, that we co-produce work with people with lived experience, and also an expert review panel, meaning people with expertise, lived experience, reviewing the work that we're doing, and both comprised of women with lived experience of disability and some with lived experience of gender-based or family and domestic violence. This ensured and continues to ensure that the project is co-designed from inception to implementation with those the website is meant for. Our other opportunities to provide guidance and feedback on the project included 20 in-person and online workshops and a national survey, as we mentioned before. All content and design decisions have been informed by insights gathered from these co-design opportunities. Additionally, the website design facilitated by the website developer Handbuilt has undergone several user testing processes with women with disabilities, their family, and sector representatives. Flexibility is at the core of our project plan, and we're open to adjusting based on co-design feedback and suggestions. And we've ensured that we have the capacity to do that many times over within the project. It's crucial to allow time to listen and integrate changes and intentionally build this into our timeframe. Offering multiple co-design and consultation opportunities throughout the project lifecycle ensures that the final product truly meets the needs and wants of our community. So we're in the final stage of content creation for our new website, and this new website has over 60 topics that were suggested and chosen by women with disabilities, and they focus on sex, relationships, and building the awareness and supporting the prevention of violence and abuse against women and gender diverse people with disabilities, with a constant focus on accessibility.
So when we're talking about accessibility, what do we mean? The slide that we have up at the moment it's just a really basic example of something where you can read text easily and when you can't read text easily, and that has a bunch of different reasons why that happens. So accessibility is about this, but it's also about more. It's a commitment to ensuring that everybody can access the same opportunities. It's about recognising and meeting the diverse needs of your audience and the individuals by acknowledging that we have a range of needs and creatively innovating to meet them. We're all excellent at this because we all creatively problem solve every day. In our website design and content development process, we prioritise accessibility in a few key areas. We consider the imagery and the lettering, such as font type, size, shape, and we provide descriptive text or audio descriptions for images to accommodate those with visual impairments. We've followed the Australian Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, WCAG, to make our web content accessible to people with a wide range of disabilities. Some countries have similar rating systems. If your country doesn't have a rating system, you can access other rating systems from other countries to get some ideas of that. We also assess whether the language used is easily understood by the audience that we are aiming the work to be for. We take into account factors such as education level, cognitive capacity. We avoid using complex jargon or academic language and provide definitions where necessary to support understanding. We also pay attention to colour and colour contrast to enhance readability and consider multiple navigation methods to facilitate ease for all users. We provide tools directly on our web pages to adjust text and readability, to adjust text and size, and offer screen voiceover options to improve readability for users with different needs. Accessibility also involves maintaining our site to ensure that links and information remain relevant and up to date. We continuously monitor, encourage feedback, and update the Our Site website, striving to keep it engaging, informative, and accessible to all users. Accessibility is also about making room at the table, asking what people's access needs are in attending an in-person or online workshop. This might be asking if they need more breaks, they might need the lighting a little lower, and they might need particular seating or space. You might like to have a look at our site now. We did put the link in before, but we'll do it again. And if you have any suggestions or feedback about the website, please email us. I'll drop both these links in after I've finished talking. And I'd also like to take this moment to encourage you to think about what accessibility means to you. What do you need to be able to access information? And what do the people that you work with need? If you would like, write down some of these ideas now, and they might help you later, and we might be able to talk about it at the end if we have time. And you might also like to think about the ways that we've made this presentation accessible as well.
So this slide shows a group of women. and gender diverse people in discussions at one of our co-design workshops in 2023. So co-design means that our understanding of accessibility and is understood in relationship with those who will be accessing the resource. It's an approach that engages users as active participants in the design and decision-making process. In this approach, it acknowledges the expertise and the lived experience of individuals as being central. It acknowledges that their needs and preferences are considered from the outset. And it aims to create inclusive solutions that address the unique challenges and needs of diverse groups. For organisations, co-design ensures that projects or programs deliver services and information that their clients or end users genuinely need and want. Our commitment to co-design encompasses genuine involvement of women with disabilities, leading to a shared ownership of project activities. Ensuring participants feel valued and respected for their contributions. Supporting women with disabilities to participate by providing a variety of accessible materials and opportunities. And establishing a shared understanding through honest and transparent dialogue and partnership. To recognise the contributions of women with disabilities, we offer remuneration for their involvement and their expertise. For smaller organisations or groups unable to provide financial compensation, alternatives such as skill exchange or training opportunities can be explored. Our site strives to be a comprehensive resource and community hub where we can find relevant and useful information.
So the Our Site website is an online resource that has two modes. And what I mean by that is there's a plain language, otherwise known as a plain English for English speaking people, and easy read. The landing page is in both plain language and the landing page is in plain language and you can choose to turn on the easy read mode. So this slide shows the Our Site Real Stories page we showed you earlier. It's in plain English on the left and in easy read on the right. So it's exactly the same page essentially and set of information, but it's displayed and interpreted in a different way. This means that the website information is in plain English, meaning you're using plainer language, shown on the left, and in easy read, meaning specialized information formatting, shown on the right. Easy read is the most accessible for people with low literacy or cognitive or intellectual disabilities. And easy read follows a format of providing a picture and then a sentence or two sometimes, and then also sometimes there's dot points to help expand the concept. With our new website, we've provided these two modes, but this time we've made the easy read the landing page. This means that when you use our website URL link, you will go to the website in easy read. And you can navigate the website to choose the plain English or plainer language version of the website. Why? You may have already guessed it, but because those with the more complex needs shouldn't have to navigate an online resource such as a website to find information in an accessible format. It should be front and center and should be the easiest to access.
This slide shows a screenshot of plain language on the left and a screenshot of easy read on the right on the topic of education. You might like to write down some differences between the two. You can see from these images, EasyRead simplifies complex information. EasyRead does not exclude information, but rather expands the information to provide a clearer description, demonstrating how complex information is simplified for better comprehension. EasyRead is not just for people with low literacy or intellectual or cognitive disabilities. A lot of people find this format much clearer and easier to navigate, especially online.
This slide shows the top section of the Our Site homepage with Turn EasyRead On circled in green. So let's pull this together. You may wish to take some notes during this slide. What could accessibility look like in your work? We can do specific things like provide EasyRead resources, but we can also include everyone. We can make sure everyone feels welcome and involved. Focus on what's best for the whole community and not just certain people. We can learn together. You can teach your team how to make things accessible for everyone. You can keep learning and adapting as you go. We can work together. Collaborate with everyone involved, recognising each person's strengths and abilities. Let everyone contribute in the different ways that suits them. And be flexible. Offer different ways for people to join in, like in line or in person, maybe over a cup of tea. It doesn't have to be formal. Keep it simple. Use clear language and avoid complicated words. Make it easy for everybody to understand. Make navigation easy. Organise things so they're easy to find. Use labels, descriptions, shortcuts to help people get around. Consider everybody. Make sure all events and materials are accessible for people with different disabilities, both online and offline. Stay engaged. Keep people involved at the right level so they stay interested and contributing. Offer people different ways to participate. Let people know to join in however they're most comfortable, like talking or writing or in small groups. Keep learning together. Create that environment where people can learn from each other's perspectives. And improve as you go. We don't have to do this perfectly. Listen to feedback from people with disabilities and make changes to make things better for them. And celebrate inclusive work. Recognise and appreciate organisations that make accessibility a priority. You may not be able to do all of these things, but these are points of consideration, and we hope you've taken something away that you might be able to implement in your work.
This is a slide showing us doing it all together in a group activity. We encourage you to join us in our mission and spread awareness and support for accessibility in online resources. Our new website will have a dedicated section for professionals, which includes a free online course in co-design. If you are interested in learning more about co-design, we encourage you to join our mailing list. The link is in the chat. By supporting each other, we can encourage collaboration and advocacy to create a more inclusive digital landscape. You might like to use one or two points we discussed on the previous slide to take one step closer to increasing accessibility awareness and practice.
This slide shows our contact details. We hope that you've taken at least one, if not more, valuable ideas away from this session to share with others. And please get in touch with us if you have any insights, feedback or questions about how you might meaningfully co-design a space people can call their own. To find out more about our site or Women with Disabilities Australia. You can use any of the links provided on the slide and in the chat. I wonder, Amy, if you can pop these into the chat. Thank you. So what's on the slide is a number of links and contact details. You can find the link to the report that was written about our site 4 years ago, just after the site was launched. And this might actually be a really good starting point if you're wanting to develop a similar accessible resource using co-design. We are very excited to be towards the end of our work on the new website that we'll be launching on the 16th of May. We would absolutely love you to email us at our email address, which Amy will pop in the website, in the link in the chat, sorry, so that we can put you on the mailing list so that you can be one of the first to experience it. And even though it is tailored to an Australian audience, it's very relevant and has lots of, as we mentioned, lots of free resources. So that's the end of our presentation. And even though it's the morning here for us and we might be thinking about having our first coffee, we're aware that it's getting towards dinner time for you in New York, if that's where you're joining us from. We might, just because we started a little bit later, and thank you all for your patience if you were here from the beginning, we might just have time to take one question if anyone has it, but we also really encourage you to email us if it's a bit more of a complex question, and we really love having those conversations. So if you send us an email about our resources, and we can respond and have that online conversation. And it might be that you want a bit more time to experience the Our Site website. And we've mentioned the new website a number of times, and you might be very curious about, what the look and feel and experience of that is going to look like as well. So we're happy to have conversations about that before the launch on the 16th of May.